是为自身礼佛行3拜。Bow. First prostration.佛号，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。自赞顶礼师父3拜。好，一拜起立。起。阿弥，阿弥陀佛。Okay, we're going to start off with the Pangsang. We start off with the walking. Yeah. Today, if you find that I seem to be staring at you, I'm not. Because this pair of specs can only see near. Yeah, most of your face is identical. A good way to cultivate equanimity. So like the previous week, step forward in front of your cushion. Yeah. But let me do a recap first. Yeah. So when we do the walking, we don't have to walk super slow, just at the normal pace. One step at a time. Take one step, and let it just sink in, and then take a next step. Yeah. And as we take each step, be mindful of the imprint, our foot on the ground, the contact between our foot and the floor. The different kind of sensation when we first come into contact, and then as we allow the weight to press down, be aware of that, and then once we have completed that one step, then lift up your leg and then move forward, and then the next step, and then another step. So take each step as it comes. No rush. For our hands, you can put it in front or behind. Then as far as our head is concerned, keep it upright. Slightly, the gaze should be slightly downwards, but don't look downwards instead. Okay? Because if we walk around this way for 15 minutes. What happened? You have neck ache. Before you get somebody, you get neck ache. Let's start off with a bit of standing. So, shoulder width apart. And just take a few deep breaths. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And again we lean towards your left. Just that much so that you can feel the shift in your weight over your 2 feet. You should find one side of your legs. In your case, your left leg should become feeling a bit heavy with a bit of pressure. Then we move to the center. As we move to the center, observe how the sensation goes away and both legs come back to normal. Then shift to your right. Just enough to feel the difference in the pressure. And before we move back to the center, try to identify one part of the leg, in your case, your right leg, and try to see if there's any part which is most prominent. And observe that sensation as we move back to the center. And observe how that sensation changes as we come back. And after a while, that sensation, whether it's a bit of pressure, a bit of bloated feeling, or the compacting of the limbs, as we come back to the center, then the feelings ease away. So this exercise is merely to help us have more awareness of the different sensation in our body, starting with the legs. And then lean forward just a bit to feel the pressure on our toes or the ball of the sole, the front part of the sole. And then come back to the center. And lean backwards. And feel the weight of the body on the heel. 在我们这个左右前后的当儿呢，去观察、去注意，我们两只脚它的各个部位的那个差别，每个部位呢，在不同角度的时候会有不同的感受。Then we come back to the center， 我们回到中间，然后我们去注意我们的脚板。然后去注意我们的脚板，脚板与这个地面的接触，这个接触的感觉。Observe the contact between our feet and the floor. Is it cold or is it warm? Is it hard or soft? Is it smooth or rough? These are traits of the physical world. Whether the floor is hard or soft, whether it's smooth or sticky or rough, whether it's warm or cold, whether it's firm or loose. These are the qualities that the Buddha declared, and we can observe in all physical things, the earth, water, fire, wind. Not literally the 4 different kinds of things, nor is it some mystical forces that is mysterious, but it's just a very simple, directly observable aspect about physical things, be it our body or the floor we are standing on, all the external world all around us. 那我们踩在这个地板上呢，可以感觉到这个地面上的坚湿暖动四大地水火风。地大的这个坚固性它是坚固的还是不坚固？它是硬还是不硬？地水湿性，它本身是滑的还是黏的然后它的温度火大，它的这个温暖或者是它是凉，然后风大，它是会动还是不会动？坚湿暖动这个四大。那我们的身体呢，与这个地板都有这个特性不同的程度而已。身内身外亦复如是都是如此。So when we are doing a walking meditation and we hear the bell, then we stop and then we do this very quickly, just scan through the body, and then observe the standing posture. Then when you hear the bell again, you start walking. So the first row turn to your right, second row turn to your left, and so on. Okay? Right, left, left. So alternate. Alternate rows. So right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left like marching, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, very good. Okay. So if you see that you are facing somebody's back, one of you is wrong. Okay, you're correct. Have confidence in yourself. Yes. Okay? Everybody okay? And remember, when you reach the end, turn to your right. Okay? Not to your left. So, for example, our sister here, when you reach the end, where must you turn to? Towards the right. If you turn towards your left, then you may have a clash. Both traffic try to get in. Then when you reach the end of the line, again you turn to the right. In Singapore, when you do a U-turn, you must turn to the right. Okay, the same goes for that side. 记得吗？上个星期我们到中间的时候呢，就往右加手加手加手多手一下呗然后到底呢也是一样，也是往右转，好不好？那我们先开始就是正常的速度然后记得呢不要太靠近不要太靠近。So remember, we are walking at normal pace. Not too fast and not too slow. And keep your distance. No tailgating, okay? No tailgating. Remember to turn to the right when you reach the center. Very good. Turn to the right and do a U-turn. Very good. Pass. Everybody pass today. 那我们在进行的时候呢，我们这个保持这个距离哈，如果前面的太靠近，我们就先站着，等前面的走一段，就是有一两个手的那个位置然后我们再继续走。Whenever we hear the bell, we can stop and then check our own thoughts. What was the last thing that came across our mind? What is the last thing that came across our mind? The funny thing about our thoughts is sometimes we can get so lost in our thoughts, we are unaware of what we are thinking about. And then we just walk around, going about with our daily activities, quite sometimes quite mindlessly, So we all know how to walk, but to walk mindfully, to be aware, to be conscious, to be mindful. When we hear the bell, resume walking and continue with the loop until you reach the front of your seat. 当我们听到引磬声的时候呢，我们继续随着那个环每个环顺着那个环去走，一直到我们归回到我们自己的座位的前方座位的前方。Learn to experience and enjoy the peace and quiet in standing. In the hall here today, all we have is a bit of raindrop sound in the background and maybe the compressor at the side. Occasional buses. But if we can master this art of standing, to use the bodily posture of standing as our anchor, then any time when we feel flustered, any time when we feel a bit down or frustrated, then all we have to do is just stand and observe the standing posture. In this standing posture, there is no anger, there is no frustration. There's also nothing to be happy about, and hence nothing to be sad about. It's just standing. In a way, it's like a emotional center, if you will, an equilibrium. Yeah. So learn to make use of this as a tool, and gradually we will become more apt. Then we can extend it to the other posture, not just standing, but also in walking, in sitting, And not just sitting cross-legged in the monastery, but also in chairs, in sofa, anywhere you are. Yeah. If you can do that, then wherever you are, you can anchor yourself and center yourself anytime, anywhere. So once you reach the front of your seat, then you can stand and turn around and face the front. Okay, good. Now let's take a seat. Good evening, brothers and sisters. How are you all today? Sweaty? When I was coming up, I noticed that it was raining. So I wondered to myself, will the team turn on or turn off the aircon? Then when I came up, well done, they have turned off the aircon. Then as we started, then I realized that the rain stopped. So we have some guests from, where are you guys from again? Some of our exchange students. Sorry? Germany. Guten Tag. Is that right? Say yes. Yes, okay. Welcome to Singapore. This is the first-hand experience of the humidity of Singapore. Do you feel humid? Say yes. Do you feel sticky? Do you feel uncomfortable? If you say no to feeling warm, then it's likely that your body is either working very well or it's not working. Because it is pretty humid, especially when this is the kind of like half-hearted rain. Like, rain a bit, then maybe not. Maybe I'll just, that's enough, Then there's the kind of torrential rain. This is not one of them. And after this kind of rain, especially after the whole day of heating up the whole ground, then you have a lot of moisture. So if you feel humid, that is also normal. Yeah. You may, as a result, feel a bit uncomfortable. But do you like it? How many of you like it? Raise your hand. You may not go out alive. Not many of us like this sensation, isn't it? Yeah. So some students in the past have asked me, like, why can't we just turn on the aircon? It's not a problem to turn on the aircon. Today in Singapore, in most houses, schools, in most parts of Singapore, indoors we always have aircon. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having aircon. But if we must have aircon, then there is something wrong. Can we live without aircon? That's the key question. If these small little droplets of water, that came from our body, okay, I don't think you are cool enough to condense the moisture, okay. So the perspire come from our body. So think about it, okay. If you feel very uncomfortable, or you feel like, wow, sticky here, wet there, just focus on those areas and ask yourself, this fluid, this perspire, a few, or maybe several minutes ago, about half an hour ago, was inside this body. Before it came out, I was okay. Now that it's out, I don't seem to be okay. We cannot deny that you can feel the humidity, but we don't have to necessarily feel uncomfortable. Nor do we have to not like or like it. If these small little droplets of water is sufficient to get us worked up, or to make us feel uncomfortable enough to disturb the inner peace, then what chance do we have? What chance do we have outside of this hall? But we are capable of more than that, for sure. We can overcome these droplets of water. Just a few drops of water, no problem. A few weeks ago, I was in Sri Lanka with a group of devotees, and each time when we encounter a place, we will have to take up our shoes, we walk in, and then just as I'm about to start to do explanation, it will rain. So they are busy trying to open up the umbrella, some putting on raincoat. And then when I stop the explanation and we are about to do, circumambulation, then it stopped raining. It's quite clear, quite a few times. And some of them quite visibly were a bit like, the wet floor is like a bit wet, there's sand here and there, in some places, and then you have to take off your shoe. You see, the thing is that the moment you accept the water, then there's no problem. Whether it's the rain or our perspire. Granted, there is the objective fact. There's the objective fact that if you are unwell, you probably don't want to get caught in the rain. If you are not feeling well, it's probably better for your health if you dry yourself now. So if any of you are actually physically maybe a bit woozy, feel free to take out your towel and wipe yourself. If you brought the towel, the blanket is not for you to wipe, okay? The purple color blanket, please don't use that to wipe yourself. So there's the difference between an objective state versus our own response to it. So if you can experience the humidity, because you perspire, that's okay. You can experience the humidity because it rained halfway and then it stopped. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but do we need to get affected by it? As I said, we can easily just get the guys to turn on the aircon, close the doors, and we are okay. Yeah. The aircon is working, we can do that. So what if one day the aircon is not working? Yeah. If our happiness hinges on the aircon working, then it means that if the aircon is not working, then our happiness becomes uncertain. The more things we depend on to be happy, then the more things our happiness depend on, and it becomes more uncertain. So while having aircon or not is not a big deal really, yeah, but it is to cultivate this awareness, this mindfulness, this wisdom, yeah, so that we do not become enslaved to the things that we use. And in turn, we build up this resilience and this inner strength. Yeah. We'll now do a bit of sitting. So make yourself comfortable. You can sit, as I've shared before, the full lotus. The full lotus is, as I mentioned before, one leg on one thigh, then the other leg up. Yeah. So it looks like this. You just bring one up and then bring the other up. Okay? Yeah, if not, you can do the half lotus, like this, or like this. Yeah? Just bring one leg close to your body and the other leg upwards. Yeah, that's the half lotus. Okay. Or you can do the open lotus, so one in front of the other. So choose whichever way you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with just normal cross-legged sitting, yeah, like this, yeah, I'm okay also. I don't have any issue with your legs sitting this way or that way. Okay? Yeah. Because for the duration we are sitting, the impact is negligible. Yeah. But if you intend to do longer sitting, you want to do regular sitting, then go to find one that suits you better. Yeah. And then you can progress as well. So adjust yourselves. Just sit for a short while. I'm going to set a timer. So when you hear the timer if you do hear the timer from my phone, just listen to the sound, but don't do anything. Okay? Until you hear this bell. Yeah? Very clear, distinct, tiang, then you stop. So sit comfortably. Take a few deep breaths. relax the body. As we breathe in, be mindful and present with the breath. Be aware of how it feels to breathe in. As we breathe out, be mindful and present with the breath. Be aware of how it feels to breathe out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Take your time with each breath and do it at your own pace. Initially, it may be somewhat, for sometimes when we observe the breath, we may end up regulating the breath. For a start is okay, just regulate and breathe. But at a later stage then, just breathe, just let it breathe normally and just observe it as it comes and goes, without controlling it, without regulating it. Just be in the know when you are breathing in or we are breathing out. the focus of the mind to the top of the head and run through from the forehead down to our face, down to our neck and shoulders, observing each part in turn, bringing awareness to the bodily sensations in that area. Then put aside the sensations, relax that part, and then move downwards to the next part, all the way down to the chest, the back, the abdomen, our hips, waist, our arms and fingers and hands, then to our thighs and calf. While sitting, sometimes we may feel itchiness, numbness, aches, or if we sit longer, sometimes even pain. Well, we are not here to inflict pain on ourselves. If we experience any of these bodily sensations, instead of immediately moving, learn to observe and watch. To observe and watch. Be aware of these bodily sensations. Sometimes as we watch, they may go away. Sometimes they don't. So learn to watch first before we move. And if it's overwhelming, then we make a decision clearly to move. And that way we don't just move out of instinct, out of reflex. 那我们在打坐的时候呢，身体可能有些时候会有不同的这个感受、觉受，可能会感觉到痒、麻、酸、痛，不同的感受。如果碰到的话呢，先不要急，放松，然后不要去直接去动，先去观察，去观察这个身体的感受。然后如果是这个这样观察呢，有些时候它会过去，但有些时候不会。那如果它不过去的话，然后我们被它影响得太严重，我们可以动。但是在动的当儿呢，要去观察，不要变成不由自主的去动。先观察，观察了还是痛，还是痒，还是麻，还是酸，这个时候我决定要动，是很明确的自己做一个决定要动，这个时候再动。So when we make a decision to move, continue to observe the area, and then we move and observe the changes as we do so. 那我们在动的时候呢，继续观察那个部位，然后随着我们把身体移动，去观察这个感受的变化，去观察它的变化。如果没有变化的话，那我们动来做什么呢？必然就是想要它变化，所以去观察它。 Rub your hands together. 把双手搓暖。And apply our palms over your eyes with light pressure. 轻轻地把我们的手掌呢覆盖在我们的眼颊上。然后呢，按摩我们的脸。Massage your face, your ears, neck and shoulders, and the rest of the limbs. 然后呢，就按摩我们的颈项、我们的背、我们的这个四肢身体。记得如果是脚麻痹不要立刻动先往前，然后轻微的转一转。So if your legs are numb, congratulations, you are alive. If your legs are numb, don't move them immediately. Yeah, intuitively we want to move, but try not to move it immediately. And then just with your hands over your knees, just do some rotating circles. Draw circles with your upper body. Your lower body is still, and then gradually then the numbness will go away. Yeah. Okay, let's have the slides to go to the next page. All right. So what we have been doing in the past few weeks, we've done some sitting, very simple sitting, and then we've done some walking. So in some lessons I start off with all the sort of theory. I gave you a brief lowdown on it previously. So today I'd like to spend a bit of time to share with you this aspect of the teachings. So when we do meditation, what are we actually doing? In some places, some centers, then they basically just tell you to empty your mind. Don't think of anything. In the Buddhist lineage, we don't immediately do that. Instead, we give you something to anchor your mind on. In this case, your breath. Because the mind is so used to latching itself onto something, grasping onto something. If you immediately tell it not to grasp onto anything, it will become bored. When it's bored, then the mind will think and find things to latch onto. It cannot latch onto anything in front of it, you'll latch onto something from behind. And then you think about what happened before. When it's quite done with that, you think about what may happen in the future. So this is the tendency of the mind. Now at this point, then some of us may feel that, I had a good sitting or I have a bad sitting, depending on whether there were a lot of thoughts or not. Now I want to impress upon you that you don't have to think that way. Whether you have a lot of thoughts or not, it doesn't mean that you have a good sitting or not. What do I mean? It means that if you sit, and then thoughts arise, the important thing is not whether there are thoughts arising, but what you do as a result. If you can be aware of it and you put in some effort to actually bring your mind back, that is cultivation. If you find that your body is aching, don't think of that as a bad sitting. we don't usually sit in this position, not for extended duration anyway. So is it any wonder that our body will feel uncomfortable or feel aches and pain? It's normal. So instead of looking at this as bad sitting, it is a process of learning more about ourselves. To realize that this mind is the way it is. When you don't give it anything to do, you'll either get bored and do something and think of this, think of that. Or sometimes, if you're lucky, you get drowsy. If your mind is not so active, there's nothing for it to latch on to. And if your body is not very painful, then you just go into la la land. So, but is that the purpose of meditation? In Buddha's meditation, I've included over here in the slide, 明了寂静. 明了寂静. So this is the first part of Buddhist meditation. In Pali Sanskrit, it's called samatha or shamatha. It is translated as 止, to stop. To stop, to quieten. To stop what? To stop the chattery mind. The tendency for our mind to comment, to go into this conversational mode, to quieten it. So the phrase 明了寂静, 明了, the word 明了, it means clarity, as opposed to what? As opposed to drowsiness. 寂静, quiet, without too much thoughts, as opposed to having a lot of discursive thoughts. The tendency for us when we sit is that it either become agitated with a lot of thoughts, or when we sort of quieten it down too much, then it becomes drowsy. So we tend to vacillate between these 2 points. If we can stay away from these two, then we maintain an equilibrium. So this is the phrase that my teacher taught us. He started off with 明镜而住. So you just take the first character 明, which is literally having light, 明. 静 is to be quiet. You just 明镜而住, to abide in this state, to abide in clarity and quietude. So sometimes when we sit, if we feel like there's not much thoughts, and half an hour can go past quickly, 1 hour can go past quickly. There are many people who mistaken that to be jhana. Jhana is a deeper form of concentration that is quite comfortable. But actually that is not jhana. They are also not sleepy. You may not be sleepy or drowsy also, but it's still not jhana. It is just that the mind, although it doesn't have discursive thoughts, and it's not sleepy or drowsy, but there's no clarity. Clarity of what? Clarity of the object of meditation. The object of meditation. In this case, it is the breath. In some lineage, they use one object throughout. So when they are sitting, they are observing the breath. When they are walking, they are observing the breath. When they are standing, they are observing the breath, and so on, throughout the whole day. That's how some schools do it. In yet some other schools, such as the one I was trained in, when you are sitting, you can observe the breath, you can observe the body, and at a later stage, we will observe the different mental states and even the thoughts. But for a start, we start with the easier one. Just observe this body, because it's most tangible, solid. So you can observe this, and the sensations that arise. So we start with that, and we learn to quieten the mind. So perhaps for some of you, you may wonder, why must we quieten our mind? A show of hands, how many of you would like to learn to quieten your mind? Raise your hand. Okay, good. You're in the right class. For some people, it's a question mark. Why? Most of us, especially in Singapore, perhaps, in urbanized countries like that, oftentimes we may find that uncontrollably the mind just spin, vacillate, thinking back and forth, in this almost uncontrollable discursive cycle. So you notice that if you try to not think, it is almost impossible. Because the more you try not to think, you end up having to bring to mind thinking. You end up thinking more. I remember many years back, this Venerable, if I don't recall wrongly, it was Venerable Tupten Chodron. That was maybe in the late 80s or early 90s, many years ago, when she was visiting Singapore, and then she would mention about this pink elephant. Later I found that the pink elephant idea didn't originate from her, but I did hear it from her. I think in psychology or in some fields. So it says that if I ask you, think of an elephant, okay? And now imagine the elephant being pink in color. Okay? Can you all imagine that? Can? Have you all seen an elephant before? Yes, Have you all seen a pink elephant before? I don't think so. Do you know the color pink? That our sister, her blouse, a bit pinkish, So likewise, there's one. So just nice. Today we have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5. So pink. Not that they are elephant, okay? And so, next week they're not coming anymore. No, it's just the color, okay? So imagine a pink elephant. Then after that, if I were to tell you for the next 5 minutes, don't think of the pink elephant. Apparently it's almost impossible. The moment you have succeeded in conjuring up the pink elephant in your mind, and I tell you not to think about it, it's impossible to think about it. The same goes for our thinking, or anything. You notice sometimes some people may ask, but thinking is not a bad thing. Sometimes we think about happy things, and sometimes when we think about happy things, then we may even smile, or even chuckle. The problem is sometimes we may end up thinking about unhappy things. One would think that we would only want to think about happy things. How many of you would like to think about unhappy things? Raise your hand. I thought so. Nobody wants to think about unhappy things. But how many times have we somehow end up thinking about unhappy things? And then you may even find that unhappy things have a stronger grip on our mind the moment it latches on. Why? Because in Buddhism we say happy and unhappy occasions, or experiences or events, they just differ in terms of the object. As long as we allow ourselves to exercise this habit, this habitual tendency of of allowing our mind to roam freely, think about this, think about that, this same mechanism, that think here, think there, uncontrolled thinking, is responsible for us to be sometimes happy when we think about the happy events. But unfortunately, there's a price to pay, because it's the same mechanism, the same process, the same mental processes that comes into play when you are thinking about unhappy events. You cannot have your cake and eat it. You cannot say you want to think about happy things, but unhappy things I don't want to think. No, because it's the same process. It's the same process. So as long as you want to think about happy things, allow your mind to go uncontrolled and think here, think there, then you must accept both sides. Does it mean that we should all stop thinking? No. But it means that perhaps we should learn to manage our thinking. Keep it in check. It is just like eating or drinking. Just because sometimes we may eat something that causes us to have stomach ache doesn't mean that we should stop eating altogether. But we should learn to eat wisely, to eat with discernment, to eat moderately. So meditation is not, although we say quieten the mind, it doesn't mean that we cannot think for the rest of our life. It doesn't mean that we are trying to train ourselves to become wooden statues. And not move. There's nothing wrong with moving. If you need to move, move. But is that the only choice? If the moment you perspire, you must move. If the moment there's an itch, you must move. If you don't move, you feel frustrated. Then your happiness is uncertain. Then your happiness is uncertain. Then it means that you have no more choice. It may seem counterintuitive. To be able to move is freedom. But here in Buddhism we say, no, think again. To be able to choose to move or not, that is freedom. If your only response is, if this happened, I must move, that is not freedom. If I see something I don't like, I must speak up my mind. That is not freedom. That becomes, if it becomes a response, a reflex. You see something, you must say. You hear something, you must react. That is no longer freedom. That is just a reflex. Now everybody, try this. Raise your left hand. Very good. Put down your hand. Now raise your right hand and put it down. You see, we are so easily manipulated by others. Where's the control? Now let's try that again and raise our right hand. You notice there's a certain, can I put it down? A certain moment of hesitation. Just because I say that you are under my influence and control, you hesitate. Without fail, I've tried this in so many classes. Thousands of people have fallen into this. But the fact is that the first time round, when I suggest to raise your hand, you're not in my control. It was just a suggestion. You still have to decide to raise your hand. Now, if I say, raise your hand, and then, even as you resist, your hand just, then you're under my control. But was that the case just now? It wasn't, isn't it? You had your choice, and you exercised your choice. But simply because of what I said, then you think, this tricky monk. So the fact is, when we can raise our hand at will, then it is our ability. If your hand is raised the moment I say raised, without your participation, then it's not your ability. Likewise, if someone says something nasty to you, and your only way to respond is to get upset, then that's not an ability anymore. It is just a response, just a reflex. It is like the echo. The wall has no choice in it. Yeah? So we need to stop being the wall. We need to stop being the aircon where people can control us. Hotter, with just some words. But how do we do that? With this simple practice to observe ourselves through the breath for a start. Yeah? There'll be more things as we explore. Yeah? This practice is really not about the practice, it's about ourselves. Yeah? Observing ourselves. Yeah. So let's put our palms together. Yen xiao san zang zhu fan nao. Yen xiao san zang zhu fan nao. 愿得智慧真明了，愿得智慧真明了。普愿罪障悉消除，普愿罪障悉消除。世世常行菩萨道，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛。起立。诸位之神，礼佛行三拜。同学这才顶礼师父三拜，拜。一拜起。起。微训。阿弥陀佛。阿弥陀佛。三班合掌恭送师父回梁。Palms together, side of Venerable Chuan. 不劳送。阿弥陀佛。